I'm standing in the ruins of my late wife's dream mansion, the one I built for her after she lost her battle with cancer 6 years ago. Just yesterday, in 6 brutal hours, bulldozers turned $4.2 million into dust while I was in D.C. on state business. The air reeks of diesel and crushed drywall. Twisted rebar juts up like broken bones. Over there, the infinity pool she sketched in her final days, now cracked wide open, water spilling down the ravine. At 6:47 a.m., the email hit. Demolition authorized for $38,000 in unpaid HOA fines. Unpaid. That was Vivian Pritchard's lie. I'd paid every cent, twice. Receipts, canceled checks, her own committee's approvals, all saved. What Vivian never saw coming. 3 weeks ago, I was sworn in as governor of this state. If an HOA ever demolished your dream over lies, comment below. What would you do? Tell me where you're watching from, because this is how you take down a tyrant who made the most expensive mistake of her life. Let me take you back 6 years. My wife Elaine was an architect, the kind who'd sketch building designs on napkins at dinner, who could look at a bare hillside and see a home that belonged there. When the ovarian cancer came, she fought it for 18 months. And in those final weeks, lying in a hospital bed with morphine dulling the pain, she drew me a house. Not just any house, our dream home. Perched on a mountain at 7,200 feet with floor-to-ceiling windows facing the Continental Divide. She wanted salvaged timber from old barns, wood that smelled like a century of summers and winters, every beam scarred with the stories of the families who'd lived under it. She sketched the infinity pool extending toward the valley like it was falling into the sky itself. "Build it," she told me 3 days before she died. "Promise me you'll build it." I was 51, an appellate court judge, no kids, and suddenly no wife. So I built it. 2 years hunting down every piece of reclaimed timber she'd specified. The cedar from a Montana barn that still carried the faint scent of mountain air. The river rock for the fireplace. I can still hear the sound of those stones settling into place. The dry click-clack like nature's own applause. The custom steel and glass atrium she'd called the mountain's breath, designed to catch the wind and make it sing. When it was finished, I moved in. Ridgemont Estates, an upscale gated community 90 minutes from the state capital. 340 homes, peaceful, private. That lasted about 8 months. Then I met Vivian Pritchard, 61 years old with blonde hair lacquered into a helmet that could survive a Category 5 hurricane. Always wore turquoise jewelry like she was single-handedly keeping a Southwest gift shop in business. Drove a white Cadillac Escalade with vanity plates reading HOA Prez, because apparently subtle wasn't her thing. HOA president for 9 consecutive years. Nobody ran against her. Wonder why. She owned a real estate brokerage in town. Her husband Garrett, retired state trooper who still carried his badge like he was expecting to arrest someone at the community pool, ran security consulting for the HOA. The trouble started when I repainted my exterior trim. Smoky quartz. A soft gray Elaine had specified. The architectural committee approved it in writing. 3 weeks later, Vivian appeared at my door like a turquoise-draped angel of bureaucratic death. "That color's not approved." I showed her the committee's email, the paint code, their signatures. She glanced at it like I'd handed her a parking ticket from 1987. "The committee was mistaken. I'm overriding them." I paid the $500 fine. Repainted. I was still a sitting judge, had to be careful about public conflicts, but Vivian was just warming up. Over the next 10 months, the fines came like clockwork. My driveway lights? Excessive. The native wildflowers I'd planted to prevent erosion? Unapproved landscaping. She wanted turf grass at 7,200 feet where grass needs more water than a rice paddy. My housekeeper Lucia's 15-year-old Toyota? Commercial vehicle. That last one was when I saw the real pattern. Lucia was from Guatemala. 40-something, mother of 3, U.S. citizen born in El Paso. Vivian stopped her at the gate 3 times, demanded ID, asked about documentation. The 3rd time, Vivian sent me a formal letter. Domestic staff must park in designated service areas. There were no service areas. I responded in writing, "This is discriminatory." Her reply, "I don't see color, I see violations." By month 10, I'd paid $34,000 in fines. Every single one documented. Receipts saved, canceled checks filed, emails proving the architectural committee had approved everything she later called violations. Then I won the governor's race. 3 weeks after inauguration, I flew to D.C. for a mandatory conference. Day 3, my phone buzzed at 6:47 in the morning. One email, subject line, final notice, lien, foreclosure, and demolition authorization. I had 4 hours before they started tearing down Elaine's dream. I was 1,800 miles away. I called my lawyer from a hotel bathroom at 7 in the morning, trying not to wake my chief of staff in the next room. Emergency injunction, now. Tobias, courts don't open for 2 hours. You're in D.C. Even if I wake up a judge, you just became governor. Every judge in this state either worked with you or wants something from you. This'll look like abuse of office. He was right. Damn it. My neighbor Dale called 60 seconds later, retired dentist, hands steadier than mine right then. There are bulldozers at your gate. Through the phone I heard it. Diesel engines, the backup beeping. The crunch of metal treads on the gravel Elaine and I had spread by hand. Film everything, especially Vivian. Already am. The video arrived 3 minutes later, the excavator's claw punching through Elaine's atrium, glass exploding in showers of light, timber beams, each one tagged with her handwriting, snapping, and Vivian in her white pantsuit, arms crossed, sunglasses on. When part of the pool broke off and tumbled into the ravine, she smiled. Dale caught that smile. I forwarded it to my lawyer. Evidence. Save. Then I made 2 calls. First, Mariana Soto. Civil rights attorney, 38, had just won $12 million against a sheriff's department for racial profiling. If anyone understood what Vivian did to Lucia, it was her. I saw the news. I'm so sorry. Don't be sorry. Be angry. Tomorrow morning, 6 a.m.? I'll be there. Second call, Kurt Bellamy, 67, land use attorney, argued 4 cases before the state Supreme Court. If anyone knew HOA law inside out, it was Kurt. Tobias, I watched it happen on the news. That woman just violated about 6 statutes. How many can we prove? All of them. I'll meet you there. I chartered a flight. Midnight landing in Denver, 90-minute drive through darkness. Pulled up at 2 a.m. to what used to be my driveway. The smell was worse in person. Diesel and crushed drywall, that chemical sting coating your throat. I swept my flashlight over the wreckage. They'd been thorough, efficient, mean. But Elaine had been smarter. Buried 18 inches under the master bedroom was a fireproof safe. Her idea, every architect needs a vault for originals. I dug through rubble until my hands found it. Combination, our anniversary. Still worked. Inside, her sketches, material lists, notes in precise architect handwriting. And beneath those, my ammunition. Every receipt, every canceled check for every fine I'd paid. Every email from the architectural committee approving what Vivian later called violations. My father prosecuted criminals for 30 years. He used to say the bad guys always make the same mistake. They think paperwork is boring. But boring wins trials. Vivian just handed me a trial. Mariana arrived at 6 wearing steel-toed boots carrying a crime scene camera. Kurt showed up 10 minutes later in a pickup truck, legal pads under his arm like he was heading into court. We walked the perimeter. Mariana shot 200 photos. Kurt took notes, muttering statute numbers under his breath like incantations. This is the cleanest HOA violation I've seen in 40 years, Kurt said, crouching by a chunk of foundation. No certified mail, no hearing. Demolition during a 4-hour window while the owner was out of state on official business. He looked up at me. You know what this is? This is a civil rights attorney's dream and an HOA president's nightmare. Good, I said. By 8, news crews arrived. Vivian had invited them, wanted her victory lap. There she was, white pantsuit pressed, giving Channel 7 her statement. No one is above the law, not even a governor. Mr. Kendrick refused to pay legitimate fines. We followed our procedures to the letter. This is about fairness and accountability. I waited until she finished, then walked into frame. The anchor's face lit up like he'd just won journalist bingo. Governor Kendrick, I wasn't expecting my house demolished with 4 hours' notice while I was in Washington serving my state. I pulled out folded notes, the kind I used to make on the bench. Here's the thing about HOA law most people don't know. It's actually pretty fair. Before an HOA can foreclose or demolish, they have to send 30 days written notice via certified mail. They have to hold a hearing. The owner gets to show up, present evidence, maybe avoid having their life destroyed. I set the notes on their equipment case. I got an email at 6:47 yesterday morning. Demolition at 9. I was 1,800 miles away. No hearing, no certified mail, just 4 hours. The anchor turned to Vivian. Mrs. Pritchard, can you respond? Her smile was gone. This is a private HOA matter. You made it public when you invited cameras. I pulled out the stack of canceled checks, held them up. $34,000, every fine paid. Here are the receipts. And the other $4,000? Your own architectural committee approved those projects in writing before you overruled them and fined me anyway. Kurt stepped forward, handed me a document. This is the HOA's Articles of Incorporation, filed with the state. Says right here the president cannot override the architectural committee without a full board vote. He looked at Vivian. Did you hold a vote? Silence. Mariana held up her phone. We've got 18 homeowners ready to join a class action. Illegal fines, discriminatory enforcement, demolitions without due process. Want to guess what the damages are? Vivian climbed into her Escalade. Engine roared. Tires kicked gravel like a retreat. The anchor turned back to me. Governor, what's next? Now we let the legal system work, which is good for everyone, because the law doesn't care if you're a governor or an HOA president. It just cares about what's right. Behind me, Kurt was already drafting the lawsuit on his legal pad. Mariana was texting homeowners. We're filing Monday. You in? One by one. Yes. Yes. Finally, yes. Within 48 hours, Vivian hired a PR firm out of Denver. Suddenly, I was the villain. Conservative websites ran op-eds. Governor Tobias Kendrick, elitist hypocrite who built a monument to his ego. Talk radio hosts devoted segments to my mansion while I'd campaigned on humble roots. Someone tipped the IRS, probably Vivian's team, claiming I'd used campaign funds to build it. Completely false, but an audit takes 6 months to disprove. My communications director showed me the social media memes over breakfast. Me in a judge's robe standing in rubble. Rich governor cries about mansion, what about regular people? Posted 300 times by obvious bots. Want me to respond? She asked. No, let them think they're winning. Vivian went on a podcast. One of those shows that always sides with the HOA. Spent 40 minutes painting herself as a terrified volunteer. I actually feared for my safety around Mr. Kendrick, she said, voice trembling. He was confrontational, angry, refused to accept that rules applied to him. I listened while driving to Kurt's office, sent the file to Mariana, time-stamped at the 32-minute mark where Vivian claimed I'd verbally threatened her. Mariana's text back, she just committed defamation. Add it to the suit? Me, not yet, let her keep talking. The next attack came from Garrett. He did a TV interview wearing his old state trooper uniform, technically illegal for retired officers, but nobody called him on it. The governor's property was a public nuisance, Garrett said, shaking his head like a disappointed father. Overgrown weeds, broken fencing, we had complaints from 6 families. I watched it in Kurt's conference room, paused, rewound. He's lying, I said. Prove it, Kurt replied. So I spent an afternoon knocking on doors, the 6 nearest properties to my lot. Results, not 1 complaint filed. 2 didn't even have line of sight to my property. And 1, an elderly widow named Iris, started crying when I asked about the nuisance claim. Vivian came 3 months ago with a pre-written complaint, Iris said, hands shaking as she poured tea in her kitchen that smelled like lavender and old paper. Said if I didn't sign, she'd fine me. My rose bushes were 3 inches too tall, her voice cracked. I was terrified. She handed me a folder. 4 years of threats. Fines for trash cans on the wrong day, holiday lights 2 days late, her mailbox, the wrong shade of black. Photos Garrett had taken of her property like surveillance footage. I thought when you became governor maybe you'd fix this, she said. Then they said you were the problem. I took the folder, told her she'd never be fined again. That night I called Kurt. We're expanding the lawsuit. This is bigger than my house. Already found 18 homeowners ready to join. Want more? Fine 30. We found 26 with sworn statements. Fines for gardens, fences, paint. One couple owed $8,000 because their teenager's 2004 Honda Civic was aesthetically inappropriate. Kurt compiled 70 pages, read like a crime novel about petty tyranny. Meanwhile, Vivian made her desperate play. She approached State Senator Crosby Hart, my former primary opponent, offering to fund his next campaign if he'd sponsor HOA reform that would actually strengthen HOA power. Hart recorded it, sent it to my chief of staff with a note. Thought you should know. Vivian's voice on tape. We need to make it impossible for governors to bully community organizations. These people need to understand we're protecting property values. I saved it. Didn't leak it. Not yet. She's panicking, Mariana said. Panicked people make mistakes. Let her panic more. Then Kurt found the smoking gun. He'd requested the HOA's financial records, my legal right as a homeowner. Took 3 weeks to get them. When they arrived, Kurt spent 2 days with a forensic accountant. He called at 11 p.m. You need to see this. His conference table was covered in spreadsheets like evidence at a crime scene. The overhead lights buzzed, coffee cups everywhere, the smell of old paper and highlighter ink. Your HOA has $340,000 in reserves, Kurt said. Last year they spent $180,000. Look at this. 3 documents. $60,000 to Garrett's Security Consulting LLC, no contract, no work product. $45,000 to Vivian's daughter's landscaping company, for work that looked like a middle schooler's summer job. $75,000 fighting homeowners in court, people who settled just to escape. This is embezzlement, I said. Correct. HOAs are nonprofits. Officers can't self-deal. Every dollar to her family is a felony. Kurt pulled out another page. Here's the real issue. There's a $127,000 lien on the HOA from a paving company. Work was done 18 months ago. Never paid. Where'd that money go? He slid across bank statements showing transfers to a Nevada LLC owned by Vivian and Garrett. She collected dues for the paving, pocketed the money, and now the HOA is about to be foreclosed on by the contractor. I stared at the numbers. Years of theft hiding in plain sight because nobody audited the books. She didn't demolish my house over fines, I said. She did it because I was about to run for governor and she needed me gone before someone looked at these records. Kurt nodded. She knew you'd audit everything eventually. You're a lawyer, a judge. This was always going to come out. So she tried to destroy me first, and handed us a federal case. 2 weeks before Vivian's deposition, someone broke into my construction trailer. I'd been storing Elaine's salvaged materials there. Timbers that survived, her blueprints, the tool chest she'd used during construction. The call came at 6 a.m. Mr. Kendrick, your trailer's been vandalized. I drove through dawn fog hanging in the pines like wet wool. The padlock was cut clean through. Door swinging in the wind, that metallic creak cutting through morning silence. Inside was worse. Elaine's design journal, every sketch, every note about why she chose each angle, gone. Her father's tool chest from architecture school, gone. 3 irreplaceable timbers marked with her handwriting, missing. Spray painted across the wall in dripping red, go back to the Capitol. The paint smell hung sharp and fresh. This happened maybe an hour ago. I sat on the metal step. First time since the demolition I actually broke. Just sat there, head in hands. Lucia found me 20 minutes later, didn't say anything. Just sat beside me on that cold step. After 10 minutes, Miss Elaine would want you to finish this. The sheriff's department treated it like low-priority vandalism. So I called Rex Dunaway, ex-FBI, white-collar specialist. 48 hours, he said. Rex pulled gas station security footage 2 miles down the mountain. Garrett's truck, timestamp 2:14 a.m., driving from my property's direction. Credit card record showed Garrett buying bolt cutters and red spray paint 3 days earlier. Angry people are sloppy, Rex said. But Rex found something bigger. He'd been tracking Vivian's real estate deals. Turned out she'd tried buying my land 3 years running, since before the mansion was finished. She offered you $1.2 million, Rex said, spreading emails on my kitchen table. Land was appraised at 2.1. You ignored her. I remembered. Wasn't selling Elaine's dream. Here's the play, Rex continued. She had a luxury developer lined up. Aspen outfit willing to pay $3.6 million, 600% markup on your land. One email jumped out. Vivian to her business partner 18 months ago. Kendrick won't sell. We need to create motivation. Create motivation. She planned this before your governor run, Rex said. Started manufacturing violations to force you out. When that didn't work, she saw the election as her window. Demolish while you're distracted. The deposition happened in a Denver law firm. Mariana started surgical. Mrs. Pritchard, you've stated you followed all procedures. Let's review the demolition vote. How many board members voted? Unanimously. The board has 5 members. Minutes show 3 present. 2 submitted affidavits saying they were never notified. How is 3 out of 5 unanimous? Vivian shifted. They were notified. They forgot. So 2 board members are lying under oath? Her attorney, don't answer. Mariana slid the email across. The one where Vivian wrote, Kendrick is running for governor. We need him out. Find a reason. Can you explain this? Color drained from Vivian's face. That was out of context. What context makes find a reason to remove a homeowner acceptable? Silence. In this email, you wrote Mr. Kendrick would bring protesters media trash if elected, that you needed him gone, correct? He was ruining the community. Vivian's voice rose. His staff, his visitors, people like him think they can move in and change everything. He didn't respect our traditions. You wouldn't understand. You people never do. The room froze. Mariana, Latina, composed, set down her pen slowly. Excuse me. You people? Long silence. Vivian's attorney stood. We're taking a break. While Vivian spiraled, I was meeting with Hector Ruiz, structural engineer, old law school friend. He'd been analyzing the demolition. We've got a problem, Hector said in his office that smelled like coffee and blueprint toner. The contractor didn't follow EPA protocols. He showed me lab results. Asbestos confirmed in 12 of the salvaged barn timbers. No EPA notification filed, no air monitoring, no containment. They just ripped it apart and let it fly. How bad? Neighbors within 200 yards were exposed, including 2 families with young children. He pulled up photos. The contractor is Vivian's brother-in-law. She signed the work order. So she knew. She had to. This isn't negligence. This is criminal environmental violation. Hector walked me through it. Asbestos abatement requires licensed contractors, air monitoring, sealed containment. None happened. EPA can fine $25,000 per day, plus liability for health impacts. Can we file? Already drafted the complaint. You don't even need a lawyer for this part. EPA investigates 70% of credible asbestos complaints within 90 days. He handed me a folder. Photos, lab results, timeline, everything they need. While evidence mounted, the community rallied. Dale organized a fundraiser at the community church, Rebuild Elaine's Dream. 140 people showed up, not just from Ridgemont Estates, from across the county. People who'd heard the story, who'd dealt with their own HOA nightmares, who wanted to help. They raised $68,000 in one night. I stood at the front of that church hall, surrounded by strangers who'd become allies, and felt something I hadn't felt since Elaine died, like I wasn't alone. This goes to a scholarship fund, I said, in Elaine's name, for students studying architecture. But Vivian made one last desperate play. She tried foreclosing on Iris, the elderly widow who'd signed the fake complaint. $12,000 in unpaid fines. Iris's daughter called Mariana in tears. Mariana filed an emergency injunction. Judge halted it in 24 hours. But local news ran the story. HOA president targets 79-year-old widow. That night, my phone buzzed. Text from Rex. Garrett just hired a criminal attorney. Me. Good. Let him sweat. Kurt's paralegal found it on a Tuesday afternoon while doing routine property records research. A mechanic's lien, filed 18 months ago against Ridgemont Estates HOA by Mountain Peak Paving Company. Amount, $127,000. Kurt called me immediately. We've got something. I drove to his office. He had the lien document spread across his desk, yellow highlights everywhere. This is a valid lien, Kurt said. The paving company resurfaced all the roads in Ridgemont Estates. Vivian approved the work. They finished the job, sent the invoice, never got paid. Where'd the money go? He slid over the HOA's financial statements. Right here, line item, road resurfacing project, $127,000. Collected from homeowners via special assessment. Every resident paid their share. So the HOA had the money. Had it. Past tense. Kurt pulled out bank records. 3 days after collection, the full amount was transferred to an LLC registered in Nevada, Ridgemont Management Services. Who owns it? Vivian and Garrett Pritchard. I stared at the documents. The pattern was so clear it was almost stupid. Collect money for legitimate work. Transfer it to a shell company. Leave the contractor unpaid. Pocket the difference. How long until the paving company can foreclose? Kurt checked his notes. Leanne's been active 18 months. State law says after 2 years they can foreclose on the HOA's common property. Clubhouse, pool, entrance gates, everything the HOA owns collectively. So in 6 months, Ridgemont Estates loses its amenities. Unless someone pays that $127,000, plus interest. We're looking at closer to $145,000 now. I sat back. This wasn't just about my house anymore. This was about Vivian systematically robbing her own community, then covering it up by attacking anyone who might notice. Get me a meeting with the paving company owner, I said. Rick Delgado ran Mountain Peak Paving out of a shop that smelled like asphalt and motor oil. 50-something calloused hands, the kind of guy who'd built his business from nothing and took pride in doing honest work. "Governor," he said, shaking my hand, "didn't expect to see you here. Call me Tobias, and I need to ask you about the Ridgemont Estates job." His face hardened. "Been trying to collect for a year and a half. That woman promised payment in 30 days, then stopped returning calls. I've got a crew to pay, equipment loans, overhead. That $127,000 could have kept me afloat during the slow season. What if I told you I could get you paid in full within 60 days? He studied me. "What's the catch?" "No catch. I need you to attend an HOA town hall meeting in 3 weeks. Bring your invoice, your lien documentation, and be ready to tell your story to 340 homeowners. That's it? That's it. You did the work. You deserve to be paid. And the people in that community deserve to know their HOA president stole the money they gave her." Rick extended his hand. "I'm in." Back at Kurt's office, we laid out what we had. Embezzlement, $180,000 in self-dealing payments to family members over 2 years. Theft, $127,000 collected for road work, never paid to the contractor. Civil rights violations, discriminatory enforcement against Lucia and potentially dozens of other residents. Illegal demolition, no notice, no hearing, violations of state statute. Environmental crimes, asbestos exposure during demolition. Witness intimidation, the vandalism of my trailer, Garrett's involvement provable through receipts and security footage. "This isn't an HOA dispute anymore," Mariana said, reviewing the compiled evidence. "This is organized fraud." "How long until we can take this to the FBI?" I asked. "We could go tomorrow," she said, "but I think we should do this differently." "How?" She smiled. "In public, in front of the entire community, let everyone see exactly who Vivian Pritchard is before the federal government takes her away." Kurt nodded. "The quarterly town hall meeting is in 3 weeks. Vivian has to preside. It's in the bylaws. And as a homeowner, even with your house demolished, you still own the land. You have the right to attend and bring witnesses." "We present everything," I said. "Every document, every recording, every witness in real time." "And we invite the press," Mariana added. "Make it impossible for her to spin this." I thought about Elaine, about what she would want. Not revenge, justice. The kind that helps people. "Set it up," I said. "Let's finish this the right way." Kurt rented a storage unit to organize evidence. Banker's boxes, binders, timelines on poster boards like a prosecutor's war room. "Trial lawyers call this the story spine," Kurt said, taping a flowchart to the wall. "Every jury needs a clean narrative. Villain does wrong, hero uncovers truth, justice happens. We're at step 2. We rehearsed scenarios. What if Vivian walks out? What if her attorney intervenes? What if homeowners side with her? "She can't walk out," Kurt said. "As president, she's required to preside. Her attorney can object, but this isn't court, it's a homeowner meeting." Mariana handled witness prep. She met with the 18 plaintiffs in groups, teaching them to compress stories into 60 seconds. "Facts, not feelings," she coached. "She fined me $8,000 for a shed. The committee approved is stronger than she's terrible." Iris practiced until sharp. "She threatened foreclosure over rose bushes 3 inches too tall. I'm 79. I measured with a ruler." Rick Delgado rehearsed his part. "I paved your roads, invoiced $127,000, never got paid. She lied." Kurt explained the record's law. Any homeowner can request HOA financials under state statute. They must comply within 10 days or face penalties. Most crooked boards bet nobody asks. I'd asked. Vivian fought it. A judge ordered compliance in 48 hours. When an HOA fights records requests, Kurt said, that's your red flag. Legitimate boards have nothing to hide. Hector compiled his engineering report. 40 pages documenting violations, asbestos in 12 timbers, no EPA notification, no air monitoring, families with kids exposed within 200 yards. This goes beyond lawsuits, Hector said. This is EPA Criminal Investigation Division territory. He walked me through filing. Anyone can submit EPA complaints online. No lawyer needed. Just photos, lab results, timeline. EPA investigates 70% of credible asbestos reports within 90 days. I filed that afternoon. Attached everything. Hit submit. Dale volunteered to live stream the town hall. 3 cameras, Vivian, audience, Q&A mic, YouTube stream, unlisted link shared with homeowners and press. Public meetings are public, Kurt said. Recording prevents, he said, she said. Also prevents violence. People behave when the world watches. Backup audio recorders in case Vivian killed the stream. My communications director briefed 3 journalists separately, each getting different research angles. State newspaper, embezzlement, shell companies, stolen road funds, Denver TV, discrimination against Lucia, Iris intimidation, harassment patterns, national podcast, illegal demolition, EPA violations. By town hall night, my director said, they'll have done independent digging. They'll ask tough questions. The night before, I couldn't sleep. Walked the property at 3 a.m., stood where the atrium was, found broken glass from Elaine's skylight, pocketed it. Text from Mariana. Vivian emailed all homeowners. Meeting is homeowners only. No guests, no media. I called Kurt. She can't, he said immediately. Bylaws 7.3. Homeowners may bring advisors and witnesses. Excluding them violates state law. He drafted a response, CC'd all homeowners. Per bylaws, homeowners may bring advisors. Exclusion is illegal. See you at 7. I requested a sheriff's deputy, not as governor, as concerned citizen wanting law enforcement at a contentious public meeting. Deputy Ramona Voss assigned. 15 years, no Garrett connection, neutral reputation. You're witnessing, not arresting, I told her. If law's broke, you report. Understood. Morning of the meeting, Vivian emailed. High interest tonight, standing room only, arrive early. Trying to pack the room with supporters. But I'd confirmed 26 plaintiffs, Rick, Hector, Mariana, Kurt, Iris. All had legal right. 3 journalists confirmed parking lot positions. Dale texted noon. Cameras set, stream tested, ready. 5 p.m. I drove to Ridgemont Estates, parked outside the clubhouse. Watched homeowners arrive early, claiming seats. Phone buzzed. Kurt. Her attorney filed to postpone. Judge denied 10 minutes ago. Mariana. All witnesses confirmed. Rick's bringing in voice. Chief of staff, press gathering. This is big. Sun dropped behind mountains, sky turning fire orange. I thought about Elaine, about her dream, about justice that helps people. 6:45. I got out and walked toward the clubhouse. Inside, 120 folding chairs filled the room, fire code capacity. Vivian's podium at front flanked by 2 board members. The other 2, never notified of the demolition vote, conspicuously absent. Dale's cameras already rolling. Live stream showing 340 viewers. Every homeowner plus press. I sat back row with Mariana and Kurt. Lucia beside me, her presence deliberate. 7 p.m. Vivian called the meeting to order. Read from script. Welcome, neighbors. Tonight we celebrate another successful year. Reserve strong. Property values up 12%. PowerPoint. New clubhouse furniture, repaved tennis courts, holiday decorations. Slide 8. Expenditures. Legal defense, $75,000. Murmurs rippled. Anonymous homeowner, middle row. Defense against what? Vivian. Frivolous lawsuits from a disgruntled former resident. Same homeowner. You mean the governor whose house you demolished? Vivian flustered. That matters in litigation. I can't discuss it. Kurt stood. Actually, you brought it up. Fair game now. Vivian's attorney whispered, move on. But Vivian couldn't help herself. The governor thinks he's above rules, refused basic community standards. We had no choice. I didn't stand, didn't speak, just made eye contact. The room noticed. Phones started recording. Board member Phyllis suddenly spoke. Vivian, I need to say something. This isn't the time. I was never told about the demolition vote. I was in Arizona visiting my daughter. You told me it was emergency. It was. Then why does the governor's attorney have email showing you planned it 3 weeks advance? The room exploded. Vivian banged the gavel. Order! We'll have order! But the room was chaos now. Homeowners shouting questions. Phyllis still standing, holding the printed email like evidence at trial. Her attorney stood. This meeting is adjourned. Kurt's voice cut through. You can't adjourn during homeowner challenge. State law requires addressing questions. Deputy Voss stepped forward from the back wall. Ma'am, I recommend continuing. Vivian sat down hard, voice shaking. Fine, questions, one at a time. I stood, walked to the Q&A microphone. Dale's camera followed. Mrs. Pritchard, you've stated my property was demolished for failing to pay legitimate fines, correct? Yes. How much did I allegedly owe? She consulted notes. $38,600. And I refused to pay despite multiple notices? Correct. I turned to Kurt. He handed me a binder. I'd like to enter into the record copies of 19 cashier's checks totaling $34,200. Each corresponds to fines you issued. Each was cashed by the HOA within 10 business days. Passed the binder to Phyllis. She flipped through, face draining color. The remaining $4,400. Can you tell this room what those fines were for? Vivian whispered to her attorney. He said, You're not required to answer without documentation. I'll answer, I said. 4,004, refusing to repaint after you changed your mind, refusing to remove wildflowers preventing erosion, refusing to ban my housekeeper from my driveway, and refusing to remove a bird feeder you called visual clutter. Everyone issued after your committee approved my plans. Kurt distributed packets to the front row. They passed them back. Committee approval emails dated and signed, followed by Vivian's override notices. Homeowner reading aloud. This says committee approval is void because president disagrees. Can she do that? No, I said. Per bylaws, architectural committee decisions are final unless overridden by full board vote. That never happened. Vivian's voice rose. You're twisting facts. You were a problem from day one. You and your staff, your guests, you turned this community into a circus. My staff. You mean Lucia? I didn't say that. You wrote it. I nodded to Mariana. She projected an email on the screen via laptop. Quote, Kendrick's domestic staff is a security risk. We need documentation of her legal status. Lucia stood from her seat, voice shaking but clear. I'm a United States citizen, born in El Paso, Texas. You asked for my papers 4 times, never asked anyone else. Vivian stammered. I was protecting the community. From what? A woman who cleans houses? Silence. Several phones recording. Let's talk money, I said. Where did the $127,000 for road resurfacing go? There was a budget shortfall. Rick Delgado stood. I paved your roads June 2 years ago, invoiced $127,000, never got paid. I have a lien on this property. If unpaid in 30 days, I can foreclose on the clubhouse. Gasps rippled through the room. Homeowner shouted, We paid for that. Special assessment. Another, I paid $1,800. Kurt stood. The money was collected, then transferred to a Nevada LLC called Ridgemont Management Services. That LLC is owned by Vivian and Garrett Pritchard. That's embezzlement. Vivian's attorney went pale. This meeting is over. My client won't be interrogated. Deputy Voss. Sir, sit down. The governor's a homeowner. He has right to ask questions. The attorney sat. One more question, I said. When did you decide to demolish my house? After you refused to comply. After I was elected governor? That's irrelevant. Mariana projected another email. This is from you to your attorney, dated 11 months ago. Quote, Kendrick is running for governor. If he wins, we need him out. Find a reason. Explain that. Vivian stood, shaking. You're taking that out of context. What context? You planned this a year in advance. Targeted me for my political career. Demolished my home, my late wife's legacy, while I was serving this state. 4 hours notice. Violating state law, federal EPA regulations, and basic human decency. Vivian screaming now. You don't belong here. You never did. You and your people think you can just move in and... Garrett grabbed her arm. Vivian, stop talking. But she couldn't. This was our community. We built it. We kept it safe. And then people like you. Phyllis stood. Vivian, sit down. You're done. Vivian collapsed into her chair, sobbing. Deputy Voss spoke into her radio. Dispatch, need a detective at Ridgemont Estates Clubhouse. Possible financial crimes. The live stream viewer count hit 1,200. I looked at the room. 300 faces. Some angry, some shocked, some relieved. I'm not here for revenge, I said quietly. I'm here because no one should go through what I did. No one should be targeted like Lucia was. This ends tonight. The room stayed silent for 5 seconds. Then chaos. 3 news crews burst through the doors. Cameras, lights, microphones hunting for quotes. Channel 7's anchor shoved a mic at Vivian. Mrs. Pritchard, did you embezzle HOA funds? Her attorney blocked her. No comment. The podcast host cornered Garrett. Sir, did you vandalize the governor's trailer? Garrett pushed past without answering. But the real explosion was homeowners. People who'd stayed quiet for years were suddenly standing, shouting. You fined me $6,000 for a fence you approved. My daughter's Honda, you called it commercial. Where's my road paving money? Vivian grabbed her purse, tried leaving. Phyllis blocked the door. You're not going anywhere. We're voting now. You can't. Emergency vote to remove you as president, effective immediately. Leonard stood. Seconded. All in favor? Both raised hands. Motion carries. Vivian, you're done. Vivian's face went white. This is illegal. You need full board. The full board wasn't told about demolishing a $4 million home, Phyllis said. We'll sort legality later. Right now, leave. Garrett pulled Vivian toward the exit. She was screaming. You'll regret this. I gave 9 years. The door slammed. Escalade taillights disappeared into darkness. The room exhaled. Deputy Voss stepped forward. Folks, I need statements. Anyone with knowledge of financial irregularities, discrimination, or property damage, stay after. Hands shot up. 20, 30, 40 people. Rick raised his hand. So did Iris. So did Lucia. Journalists swarmed homeowners, getting quotes, building stories. The podcast host found me. Governor, what happens legally now? The system works, I said. We've filed civil suits. State Attorney General's investigating embezzlement. EPA's reviewing asbestos complaints. Deputy Voss is taking statements for criminal charges. Will Vivian Pritchard face prison? That's for prosecutors and juries. Behind me, Mariana organized statement givers into groups. Kurt photographed everything for documentation. Dale's live stream, 2,800 viewers, comments flooding. My phone buzzed. Chief of Staff, national news in 3, 2, Twitter exploded. Governor takes down corrupt HOA trending. Vivian's "You People" comment going viral. 30 minutes later, most people had left. I was helping Dale pack cameras when Iris approached with her daughter. Governor, Iris said, voice shaking. Thank you. I've been afraid in my own home 4 years. Afraid to plant flowers, turn on lights, park wrong. Tonight, I'm not afraid anymore. Her daughter hugged her. Mom had panic attacks every time she saw Vivian's Escalade. Nobody should live like that, I said. What you did tonight, showing the truth, gave me courage. I'm filing complaints too. For all the years she tormented me. Mariana will help, I said. 40 people are ready to stand with you. After she left, I sat in a folding chair. Empty clubhouse, except for Kurt, Mariana, Dale cleaning up. Smell of old coffee and stress hung in air. Evidence boards still up. Timelines, financials, emails. Vivian's corruption mapped. We did it, Mariana said. Not yet. Tonight was exposure. Justice comes next. Attorney General called, Kurt said. Formal criminal investigation opening. FBI's involved, interstate shell companies. This goes federal. Dale showed his phone. Livestream archived, 8,300 views. People calling this the most satisfying HOA takedown ever. I scrolled comments. This is accountability. Finally, someone stood up. That "you people" moment, she buried herself. My HOA does this. Where do I start? That last one stopped me. Kurt, can we make a resource guide? How to request records, file complaints, organize against corrupt boards? Already started, making it free and public. Outside, mountain night was cold and clear, stars everywhere. I stood in the parking lot where homeowners had arrived hours ago, anxious, uncertain. They'd left different, empowered. Phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Governor, this is Carla Mendez. We met at the festival. Remember our water supply issue? Can we talk?" 32 kids sick. State says safe. It's not. I stared at the message. Another fight. Another corrupt system. Another person who thought they were untouchable. I typed, "Tomorrow, 10 a.m., my office. Bring everything." Mariana looked over my shoulder. "You're not done, are you?" "Just getting started." Kurt locked the clubhouse behind us. For what it's worth, Elaine would be proud. I looked back at the building, scene of Vivian's downfall. Tomorrow it would be just a clubhouse again, but tonight it had been a courtroom where truth won. "Yeah," I said, "she would be." We drove down the mountain in convoy. Kurt's pickup, Mariana's sedan, my truck, headlights cutting through pine darkness. Behind us, Ridgemont Estates slept, peaceful for the first time in 9 years. Ahead, more work waited. Criminal trials, federal investigations, 32 kids who needed clean water. But tonight, we'd won. And tomorrow, we'd win again. The arrests came 6 days later. I was in my office reviewing the water contamination files Carla had brought when my chief of staff knocked. "Tobias, turn on channel 7. I pulled up the live stream on my computer. There was Vivian's house. 2 FBI vehicles in the driveway. Agents in windbreakers walking out with boxes. The anchor's voice. Breaking news from Ridgemont Estates, where FBI agents are executing search warrants at the home of former HOA President Vivian Pritchard. Sources say this is related to allegations of embezzlement and wire fraud involving HOA funds." My phone lit up. "Kurt, it's happening." "Mariana, FBI just called. They want our evidence files." "Rex, Garrett's in custody, federal courthouse. They got him at 6 a.m. I watched the screen. Vivian being let out in handcuffs. No turquoise jewelry today, no sunglasses. Just a woman who'd finally run out of places to hide. The formal charges came down 3 days later. Federal wire fraud, embezzlement, civil rights violations, witness intimidation. The EPA added criminal environmental violations for the asbestos exposure. Vivian's bail, $500,000. Garrett's bail, $250,000. They couldn't make it. Spent 2 weeks in federal custody before Vivian's daughter mortgaged her house to post bond. But the real victory came in civil court. Kurt and Mariana filed a consolidated lawsuit. My wrongful demolition case, plus the class action from 26 homeowners, plus Rick Delgado's lien. The HOA's insurance carrier took one look at the evidence and settled within 30 days. Total settlement, $1.2 million. My share, $400,000. Enough to cover the rebuild with money left for Elaine's scholarship fund. The 26 homeowners, average $67,000 each. Years of illegal fines refunded with interest. Rick got his $145,000 plus legal fees. Paid off his equipment loans, gave his crew bonuses, cried when the check cleared. Iris used her settlement to pay off her mortgage and donated $15,000 to the local food bank. But the biggest change was Ridgemont Estates itself. Phyllis called an emergency election. New board members voted in by landslide. First order of business, new bylaws. Transparent financials posted online monthly. No fines over $500 without a hearing. Mandatory third-party audits annually. 2/3 vote required for any demolition or foreclosure. The Attorney General's office asked me to testify before the state legislature. They wanted HOA reform statewide. I sat in the Capitol building where I'd been sworn in as governor 4 months earlier. Now I was there as a witness. Just a homeowner who'd been wronged. The current system allows HOA boards to operate with almost no oversight, I told the committee. They can fine, foreclose, and demolish with minimal due process. My case got attention because I'm governor. But there are thousands of homeowners across this state dealing with the same abuse. They don't have lawyers on speed dial, they don't have media connections, they just suffer in silence. I presented Kurt's resource guide. Simple, clear instructions for requesting financial records, filing complaints, organizing against corrupt boards. Make this available on the state website, I said, via free, accessible. Let homeowners know they have rights. The bill passed 38-12 in the Senate, 67-8 in the House. The Homeowner Protection Act required 60 days written notice before any lien or foreclosure, mandatory mediation before legal action, capped HOA fines at $1,000 per violation, made self-dealing by HOA officers a felony, up to 5 years in prison. I signed it into law at a ceremony held at the Ridgemont Estates clubhouse. Iris stood beside me. So did Rick. So did Lucia. When I finished signing, I handed the pen to Iris. This is for everyone who was afraid to speak up. She held it like it was precious. My granddaughter's going to college to study law because of what she saw happen here. Because she saw that fighting back works. Within 6 months, 12 other states adopted similar legislation. Vivian's criminal trial was set for the following spring. Her attorney tried every delay tactic. All failed. In the meantime, I focused on rebuilding. Not the mansion. Something different. I hired a local architect, a young woman who reminded me of Elaine, showed her the salvaged timbers, the sketches, the design journal that had survived the vandalism. I want something smaller, I said. 2,400 square feet. Sustainable, using as much of her original materials as possible. What's the purpose? She asked. It's not a monument anymore, it's just home. We built it over 9 months. Local contractors. Rick's company did the driveway. Hector consulted on every detail. Dale helped with the electrical. The grand opening was a community event. 200 people came. Music, food trucks, kids running around the property that used to be just mine, but now felt like it belonged to everyone who'd fought alongside me. I stood on the deck watching the sun set over the Continental Divide. Same view Elaine had sketched from her hospital bed. Different house. Same dream. Lucia brought me coffee. She worked for me full-time now. Executive residence manager, state position with full benefits. Miss Elaine would like this, she said. Yeah, she would. My phone buzzed. Text from Mariana. Vivian pleaded guilty. Federal prosecutor just called. 8 years, no parole. I showed Lucia the message. Is it over? She asked. For Vivian, for us, we're just getting started. Vivian Pritchard pleaded guilty to federal wire fraud, embezzlement, and civil rights violations 6 months after the town hall. Took a deal to avoid trial. 8 years federal prison. Garrett got 18 months for witness intimidation and destruction of property. The sentencing hearing was quiet. No media circus. Just a federal courtroom, a tired judge, and 2 people who'd thought they were untouchable, learning they weren't. I didn't attend, didn't need to. Justice doesn't require an audience. The real victory was what came after. Ridgemont Estates transformed. New board, new culture. Phyllis served as president for 2 years, then stepped down to let someone younger take over. Board meetings went from mandatory confrontations to actual community building. 0 foreclosures since 2024, 0 demolitions, 0 discriminatory enforcement. The scholarship fund grew. That's $68,000 from the church fundraiser plus my settlement money plus donations that kept arriving from strangers who'd watched the live stream. First year we funded 8 students, architecture majors, first-generation college kids, exactly who Elaine would have chosen. One recipient was a young woman from El Paso who wanted to design affordable housing. She sent me a thank you note with a sketch attached, a small home with big windows built to catch light. Your wife would have loved this, she wrote. I framed it. The conservation easement became official. 2 of my 3 acres permanently protected from development. Never to be subdivided, never overdeveloped. I opened a public hiking trail through the property like Elaine always wanted. Some weekends I'd see families walking it, kids pointing at birds, couples holding hands. That's what she'd wanted, not a monument, a place that gave something back. The annual Mountain Community Day became tradition. Every September, local artisans, food trucks, live music, kids' activities. First year, 900 people. Second year, 1,500. Raised funds for the HOA legal defense nonprofit Kurt and Mariana launched, helping homeowners across the state fight corrupt boards. At the second festival, I met Carla Mendez. She'd brought her son, one of the 32 kids who'd gotten sick from the contaminated water. We'd spent a year fighting the fracking company, the state regulators who'd looked the other way, the lawyers who thought small-town families couldn't win. We won. Settlement included water filtration for the entire town, plus medical monitoring for affected children. Criminal charges pending against 3 company executives. Governor, Carla said, her son playing on the festival lawn, you gave us hope, showed us the system could work if someone cared enough to fight. The system works when we force it to, I said. You did the fighting. I just knew which doors to knock on. As sun set over the mountains, I walked back to my house. The smaller one. The sustainable one built from Elaine's salvaged timber and new dreams. Lucia was on the deck watering the native wildflowers we'd planted, the ones Vivian had once fined me for. Now they covered the slope in purple and gold every summer. "Good day?" she asked. "Good year," I said. Inside, the walls held photos, Elaine and me on our wedding day, the original mansion mid-construction, the rubble, the rebuild, and new ones. Iris at the bill signing, Rick cutting ribbon on his expanded business, the scholarship recipients at graduation, a story told in images, destruction and rebuilding, loss and justice. My phone buzzed. Email from the National Governors Association. They wanted me to speak at their conference about HOA reform. 12 states had adopted versions of the Homeowner Protection Act, 15 more considering it. What started as personal tragedy had become a movement. I thought about responding. Then I saw the time. 8 p.m. Late. Tomorrow. There was always tomorrow for more work. Tonight I poured whiskey, sat on the deck, listened to wind through the steel and glass panels, the mountain's breath, just like Elaine designed. Somewhere in federal prison, Vivian was learning that power without accountability doesn't last. Somewhere in Ridgemont Estates, families were living without fear. Somewhere across the country, homeowners were requesting financial records, filing complaints, standing up to tyrants with gavels. And here on this mountain, in this house built from grief and justice and stubborn hope, I was home. Not the home Elaine sketched. Better, because it wasn't just mine anymore. It belonged to everyone who'd fought beside me, everyone who'd learned that systems only work when people demand they do. If you've ever dealt with an HOA nightmare, or any petty tyrant who thought they were untouchable, drop your story in the comments. Let's shine light on this. And if you want to see what happened with Carla and that fracking company, hit subscribe, because we're just getting started. The fight for justice never really ends, but damn does it feel good to win.